Hi, how are you doing today? So let me start off by talking about uh, what I did yesterday, which is mainly the same thing which I've been doing every day, which is to talk about some tools and methods for execution excellence by changing the mindset of people and culture of teams for creating world-class companies and exceptional leaders. I've been picking up some tools at random and then speaking on that. And today I've been uh, I picked up one tool which I spoke to you about yesterday. So let me just directly dig in there and then start talking about this tool. Before that, a very quick recap to what I did yesterday, which was about information. I spoke to you about information sharing, how important it is, and what is the ways of information sharing, and why one should be doing that. And today, my main activity would be to talk about the next tool which I had spoken about yesterday, which is about process management. So now let me make this a little bigger so that you can see the process management slide better than my face, because that I think is quite important in this case. You can read through if you can what is written there. So let me now start talking about what is a business process management and business process mapping in my understanding, and why is it so important. First, I want to say that many a times we think that business process management and business process mapping is something that is done for the sake of documentation, for the sake of getting an award or getting an assessment done or getting a certification from ISO auditor, which in my opinion is absolutely wrong. Process management, process is something which is necessary when you are doing repetitive tasks. So there is no point in doing a process for one-off tasks, which is absolute nonsensical. But when you are doing a process for repetitive tasks, having a process defined makes sense, because then you have a standard to check out if it is working or not working, if it is going to be of any help at all or not in following the standard. So then there is a possibility of sustaining whatever that you have achieved so far, and then try to improve upon that by working on that particular standard and trying to see what way it can be done better. Therefore, one does process mapping and then process design. So, what are the different elements of a process design? When I'm talking about process design, I'm talking about the business processes, not the manufacturing process. Manufacturing process is quite simple. You need to have different operations, and then for these operations, you need to be looking at what are the various uh, 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 tools and techniques used there, and then design the process based on the various manufacturing processes, manufacturing operations. Whereas here it is about business processes and business operations. So in this case, like in the case of manufacturing operations, you would have maybe a setup time, a cycle time, a fixture to be used, a gauge to be used, and what is the drawing of the incoming part, what is the drawing of the outgoing part, and when would you say that the entire lot is completed, when the order is completed, things of that kind. So how does it relate to the manufacturing, to the business processes? Firstly, in the case of business processes, there are two things which are extremely important to understand: who the vendor of the business process is and who is the customer of the business process. It is like understanding from whom you are going to pick up the baton in the relay race, and to whom are you going to give the baton in the relay race. These are the two very important aspects of the business process. First thing. Next, for a business process, it is important to define when are you going to start the business process, or how are you going to start the business process, and how are you going to end the business process. What are the criteria for starting the business process? What are the criteria for ending a business process? The second thing which is important. The third one, what are the inputs required for you to start the business process, and what are the outputs that you're going to get from that business process? That is the third one. First was your customer and supplier. Second was starting and ending. Third is input and output. The fourth one is to define what are the steps involved in the business process, what activities are to be done, what are the sequence of tasks to be done. That need to be detailed in as crisply as possible, so that any Tom, Dick, and Harry can understand what these tasks are. And fourth, that is the fourth one which I said. The fifth one is to include any templates, any standard, what do you call it, as forms, or you may have some standard SOPs, which are instructions, anything that has to do with that business process, add on to that. That is the fifth one. And the last one would be to define how are you going to measure the efficiency and the effectiveness of a business process? Effectiveness means that whatever you intended to do in that business process is being done to satisfaction, or maybe even better than satisfaction. Efficiency means that you are using as less resources as necessary to do that particular business process, to process that particular topic or whatever that you are working on. So these are the six topics. Let me just rephrase again. First is to understand the supplier and the customer. Second is to understand when you are going to start the business process, when are you going to end it. Third one, to understand what are the inputs and what are the outputs. And fourth one is to understand what are the various steps involved. And the fifth one is to define what are the templates necessary, SOPs required, instructions required for carrying out that particular business process. You can also add tools. You can also add software tools. You can also add what kind of environment is required, what kind of forms are required, whatever that is required for that particular business process. That is the fifth one. And the sixth one is the definition of the indicators for checking out the effectiveness and checking out the efficiency. These are the six aspects of a business process. Great. I spoke about what business process mapping is and how do you do it. And that you basically map from customer to customer, listing out all the activities that is done in a company. Typically, it is required for a large company or maybe even for a medium company. For a small company, for a startup, micro company, if somebody is suggesting you to do a business process mapping and all, I think it's absolute crap, because you are in a process of discovery. The first and foremost thing in any business is to understand how to succeed. And once you have known how to succeed and that recipe is something nice, only then you create a business process. Without that, creating a business process, in my opinion, is quite unrealistic and quite, what should I say, quite a kind of a fat in an organization. It would not really help anybody. It would really hinder the startup becoming a large company. The startup will stay as a startup, or a small company will stay as a small company. There you need to have agility, and business process would not give you agility, because once you have defined the business process, everybody in the organization bloody well work as per the business process. Therefore, you don't have any chance of quick improvisation, doing something differently. It's not very easy in an organization where the business process is quite high. Now I'm going to tell something which may be a little shocking to you. In organizations where the business process maturity is quite high, those organizations which are CMM level 5, actually you don't need intelligent guys. You don't need smart guys. You only need bull workers. Because mediocrity is what is required in those organizations. Because moment you are trying to question why a business process is done the way it is done, then it's going to upset the apple cart. So therefore, be a little careful in really working on the business processes. I'm not really discouraging you to do that, but it is necessary. But again, why is it necessary? This is where I want to speak for some time and end today's short presentation. See, business process mapping is perceived, I started with that, that it is necessary for getting an ISO certificate, or maybe necessary for documentation, necessary for EFQM assessment, for Deming prize and whatnot. Actually, it is not so at all. It's not at all so. They are basically telling that the best of the best companies had these business processes. But mainly a business process is only intended for the newcomers, for the people who don't know how to work on that business process, to really understand and appreciate and then try to learn to be able to perform that particular task without much difficulty. Therefore, when you do a business process, it's extremely important for you to keep in mind that the audience of the business process is actually the newcomer, the fresher. So if your business process is made in such a way that they can understand, then you have done that job. If you have done only for the sake of documentation, and forget it, it's only fat. It's only hours spent, which really didn't add it to any bottom line and neither to the top line. It really didn't give you any benefit at all. So that's something which is very important. With that, I come to the end of today's discussion, today's presentation on the new, different tool which I spoke today about business process mapping. Now, let me just give you a very, very quick glimpse into what am I going to be speaking on Monday, which is another favorite tool of mine, which is a drum buffer rope method, which is part of the TOC, theory of constraints. I'll speak about that on Monday. And before I go today, I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas and very nice time with your families till the New Year. This week, in fact, in Europe is really the kind of a Diwali in India, and where people are with the families, enjoy the time, spend the time together, and really have a very, very nice bonding with the family. So this year, in fact, it is even more necessary because of all the turbulence that we have gone through. So have a nice time. Enjoy with your family. Merry Christmas to you all. And for those of you in India, have a nice evening. For those of you outside India, have a great day ahead. See you again uh, on Monday, more or less the same time, 8:30 Indian Standard Time. Today I got delayed a little because of some small hiccup. So please pardon me for that. So Monday I'll be there at 8:30. Thank you so much, and goodbye. Bye bye.